All right, let's dive into a topic that frankly can make or break a project: control procurements. Now, this isn't just about shuffling papers or checking boxes. We're talking about the critical, high stakes discipline of managing the outside partners who can either rocket your project to success or become its biggest downfall. Let's get right into it. So, let's just start with this question because it really gets to the heart of everything. Think about it for a second. Every single vendor, every contractor you bring on board is either pushing you forward or pulling you back. There really is no in between. And the whole point of the control procurements process is to make sure they are a powerful asset, not a liability. So here's our game plan for today. We're going to start with why this is so critical, the vendor imperative. Then we'll walk through the official PMBOK blueprint, what you need to start, the tools you'll use, how you turn raw data into smart decisions, and finally, how you close the deal and secure that final handshake. Right, first things first. Before we get into any of the how-to, we have to understand the why. This is so much more than just another task on your project plan. Think of control procurements as the legal and financial shield protecting the very integrity of your project. And look, don't just take my word for it. This quote from the PMBOK guide says it all, loud and clear. We're operating in the world of legally binding agreements. Every single thing, every email, every deliverable, every payment, it's all measured against a contract that has very real consequences. A slip up here doesn't just cause a little delay, it can unleash serious financial penalties and nasty legal battles. Now, what I find really fascinating is the symmetry here. We often think of the buyer-seller relationship as an us versus them situation, right? But when you strip it all down, both parties actually want the exact same things. They want the contract to be followed, their rights to be protected, and the work to get done right. This is your leverage. Good contract control isn't about fighting your vendor. It's about aligning with them on these shared goals so everybody wins. Okay, so we get it. The stakes are high. Now that we understand the gravity of the situation, let's zoom out and look at the official PMBOK blueprint for managing it all. This is the what, the framework that brings order to these crucial relationships. The most important word in this entire definition is managing. This is an active, hands-on process. You're constantly on the lookout, monitoring performance, and ready to make corrections. This is the opposite of set it and forget it. The whole purpose here is to make sure both your team and the seller are doing exactly what you all agreed to do in that legal document. I want you to think of this slide as the engine that runs the whole show. It's like a machine. On the left, you've got your fuel, the inputs. In the middle, you have the engine itself, your tools and techniques. And on the right, you get the results, the outputs. We're about to break down each one of these columns. So let's start with the fuel for our machine. I mean, you can't run an engine on empty, right? The inputs are the critical documents and the streams of data that give you the cold, hard facts you need to actually be in control. Without these, you're just guessing. Let's quickly run through the big ones. First, the agreement. That's your North Star, your single source of truth. Then you've got all the procurement documentation. And I mean everything, the whole history, every SOW, every invoice. Approved change requests are absolutely vital because they're the official changes to that North Star. Then you've got work performance data, which is just the raw info coming from the vendor. We'll talk more about that in a bit. And of course, your overall project management plan, which sets the rules for how you'll handle changes and risks that pop up. Okay, you've got your fuel. Now what? What do you actually do with all this information? Well, that's where your toolkit comes in. These are the specific actions and techniques you'll use to actively manage the contract and keep things on track. Now, this one sounds a little formal, but it's incredibly important. Claims administration. Look, a claim is just a fancy word for a disagreement that couldn't be solved with a quick chat. The key is to have a professional process to handle it, not let it get emotional. The goal is always to negotiate a solution, but this framework ensures there's a clear, structured path to get there, which protects everybody. Okay, now this is a really important distinction. People mix these two up all the time. A performance review is all about the seller. The question is the vendor delivering? Are they on time, on budget? Is the quality good? It's a tactical check-in. An audit, on the other hand, is about you. It's about your process. The question is our system for hiring and managing vendors actually working? It's a strategic checkup. You absolutely need both. This next idea, for my money, is the most powerful part of the entire control procurements process. This is the magic. It's where you take a bunch of raw, almost meaningless numbers and you transform them into actual intelligence that lets you make brilliant, strategic decisions. It all starts with what we call work performance data. These are just facts with zero context. Vendor has completed 5 of 10 modules. Is that good? Is that bad? We have no idea. We received an invoice for $50,000. So what? Is it right? Is it on time? By itself, it's just noise. But then you take that noise and you run it through the toolkit we just talked about. You do a performance review, you analyze the data, you compare it to the contract, you feed that raw data into the machine, and it gets transformed. And it becomes one of your most valuable outputs, work performance information. This isn't just data anymore. This is the story. That 5 of 10 modules has become the vendor is 20% behind schedule. That invoice received has become we are 15% over budget for the work they've done. See the difference? We went from noise to a crystal clear signal that tells you exactly what to do next. This is what it's all about. And all of this work, all this active management and analysis, it's all leading to one place, the finish line. The point isn't to manage a contract forever. It's to bring it to a successful, formal, and complete close, while squeezing out every last drop of value and learning you can for the future. Now, closed procurements is an official status, and it requires a formal process. You can't just say, "We're done," and walk away. Think of this as your final checklist. 1. You formally approve every single deliverable. 2. You settle all the money stuff, no outstanding invoices or claims. 3. You issue a formal written notice that the contract is complete. This is a crucial legal step. And 4. You archive everything for the record. But closing out is really about getting smarter for next time. You're not just filing away old papers, you're creating a seller performance evaluation. Were they great, just okay, or a total nightmare? You're updating your pre-qualified seller lists so you know who to call and who to avoid next time. And you're feeding that lessons learned repository so the next person to do this can learn from your wins and your mistakes. So if you take away just one thing today, let it be this. Control procurements is not passive paperwork. It is the active management of your critical relationships, your biggest risks, and your ultimate results. And with that, I'll leave you with a final thought to take back to your own projects. You have the blueprint now, so ask yourself, which contract, which vendor, which agreement is your project's biggest blind spot right now? And what's the first step you're going to take today to bring it out into the light?